Guys, welcome once again to the Last Talk in the morning or in the evening. Not the Last Talk of the day, but we'll do a small break after this one. So make sure you stay connected. You will ask a lot of questions and invite everyone to join us because today we are speaking about impact that we can have in the world, positive impact. Make sure you are on. And who is here with us? Actually, Sean was one of the persons I heard about. I didn't know him before, but to just like, oh, you do this. This is really cool. And people just start asking me about him. And after that, suddenly he's all over my social media. I don't understand what happened. But I just say, oh, this. And suddenly I see pictures with Tarek. I see pictures at the co-living space where they were. I see pictures that, like from friends with him. I was like, what the hell is going on? Sean is everywhere. Small community. It's so much fun. So, who is Sean, you ask? It's a very good question. And why is he here today, actually? So, Sean is the founder of charity Makeover, a global movement to mobilize knowledge workers for good. Sean is also the host of the Nomad podcast that you should definitely go now and listen. Not listen now, listen in 1 hour. And the creator of the Nomad Prep Academy for helping people transition to a location independent lifestyle like the one we have right now. He's usually based in the best city in the world, but right now he's in the second best place in the world, Bali, not in Lisbon. In case you have any question, Lisbon is the best city in the world. So, guys, please give a warm welcome to one of the best talks in this conference about charity makeover and how we can help people worldwide without moving from our little desk. So, give a warm welcome to Sean. Sean, the floor is all yours. I am excited for this talk and to see what you have been working on the last years.
Great. Thank you, Gonzalo. So I'm going to try to share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see it.
Here.
Yep. So it looks like you guys got it there?
Yes.
The PowerPoint? Perfect. Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Gonzalo. I
Yes.
agree with you wholeheartedly. Lisbon is 100% the best city in the world, and I can't wait to get back there. But Bali will do for now. And small world. So I was actually just at a 4th of July party with Tarek hours ago before his talk. So it's full circle, right? So, cool. So we'll get started here, everybody. Thank you for attending. Hopefully I can make this useful for y'all. So I am the founder of Charity Makeover. We do basically hackathons for local charities, and we bring knowledge workers like yourselves together, and everyone comes in, you decide what cause you want to work for, what skills you have. We have kind of a method of pairing people up, and together we all change the game for these charities. We build digital assets that are going to be the highest leverage thing we can do to get them fundamentally a better outcome. And so when Gonzalo asked me to give this talk, I was kind of like, well, what do people want to learn? And he said, no, just tell what you do. It's amazing that you guys are able to do this. So I'm making this talk that's kind of 2 parts inspiration, hopefully. You're going to meet some of the charities that we've helped and the people behind them. Hear some stories about what we've been able to do for them and the impact that it's had. And then I'm also going to try to make this educational as well. So I've learned some lessons. I've had basically a 25-year career in various technical roles. As a programmer, as a salesperson, as a 3D animator, done a bunch of different roles, ran my own startup, and I've learned a lot during that time, and I've applied most of those lessons in how we're doing things for Charity Makeover. And so hopefully this will be useful. I have, throughout this talk, when you see this little icon, I've tried to signify when I think it's something that is like a key lesson that could be useful to anyone listening, regardless of what you do. If it's outside the social impact space, these are kind of like universal game changer lessons. And so anytime you see that little takeaway icon, that means it's something that I think is actually a pivotal kind of game changing thing. And what's cool about, just conferences in general, I think presumably why you are attending, is if you get exposed to one single idea that transforms how you think or approach the world, I think it can be completely worth, like the entire attending, it can be worth it just for that. So that's my spiel. Looking forward to this. I'm going to try to play a video next. And so what I'm going to do is see if we can do this through the Vimeo player. And hopefully this works.
My name is Kastini. I am from Pengalusan. I like study English and social studies.
I am Ketut Sedang. I like to study music.
Genesis of this whole idea, I went to an event called Startup Weekend, and they're amazing. Come together with a group of strangers, you build something amazing, but then you end up throwing everything away at the end of that weekend. And so the inspiration was really like, well, what if we were to pair up with local charities instead of that? So we come together, people of all different skill sets converge, and in a day we see what we can deliver for these charities.
Think of it like Habitat for Humanity, what that did for physical houses, we're doing that for virtual assets with charities.
It's really magical how much effort people put in. They're volunteering, they're giving away their whole Saturday, but it's really amazing to see the types of things that can be created in one day.
Everybody here comes ready to work and ready to impact, and we leave these charities in a better state than when we found them, and really make a really measurable improvement.
So we all come together to put our skills, our passions into one day that can make a difference for people that we've never met and we may never meet.
So they're like, okay, we need this, and this, and we need it as soon as possible. Head just pops up and someone just seems to have the skill set that you need.
Not only is it a way for you to seriously make an impact on a local organization, it's also a great way for you to develop your own professional skills.
It's incredibly humbling, and I'm beyond thankful that our skill and our knowledge can help out.
It's nice to see community come together and sharing kindness and sharing the knowledge to help each other.
If we dedicate a little bit of time, we can make a big difference and a big impact in the world in general.
Pursue some big, ambitious vision, and even if you only execute a small fraction of it, the world's better off with you having tried. All right, so let's see if I can get back to the PowerPoint. Can you guys see the PowerPoint at this point? Looks like yes. Cool. All right, so yeah, so that is basically the best description of what we do that I can give in 2 minutes. You guys, what we're fighting here are basically two enemies, and it's apathy and mediocrity. In my opinion, these are the two things that, I consider them root causes, because basically if they take over, like if people stop caring and if people, never reach their full potential, then it invites a host of other issues into the equation. And you get what I would say is alienation, isolation, which leads to what's called the bystander effect, where you just assume that someone else is going to solve the problem, which leads to complacency, which I'm good, I'm okay, so I don't need to worry about anything, and then tragedy of the commons, which is basically a degradation of a shared resource amongst everyone when it's neglected. So the good news is, what's the opposite of apathy and mediocrity? Because we can turn these on their head. It's basically caring, and I would argue that self-actualization. So if you're not apathetic, it means that you actually care. And if you strive to do better than mediocrity, then the ultimate expression of that is what I would say is self-actualization, becoming the fullest expression of who you are, utilizing your natural talents. So that's what we're trying to do, is basically at a high level, reverse that trend. And this is something where it can spiral one of two ways, right? If it's the former, if the apathy and mediocrity went out, we have a downward spiral into all those issues that we talked about. And I believe that you can trace pretty much the root of every societal ill back to those two core root causes. But conversely, if we're able to actually make these two things happen, it actually has the opposite effect, and we get a positive spiral. So we see collaboration, which is what we try to foster, which leads to network effects, which leads to specialization, people doing exactly what they're good at, which then also leads to increased purpose. And so all of these things are positives, and you get just this beautiful outcome if this takes hold. And so this is really at a high level what we are fixated on trying to do. So I firmly believe that you guys, we have probably on this call alone enough talent to change the game for at least a handful of organizations. But it's really a matter of getting the right people on the bus and to get them in the right seats. And so really our platform does a number of things. It's all around recruiting and vetting and screening talent and team formation, and delivering, enabling collaboration and training and all these pieces of the puzzle. But it starts with getting the right people on the bus. And once we have enough of these people and we get the buses running, it's a matter of pointing those buses in the right direction and putting a competent driver on each and then sending them on their way. And this is how we begin to solve problem after problem. And if we can do that well, what we get is basically we start lining up the buses, right? It becomes, well, what do you want to solve today? Do you want to solve hunger? Do you want to go attack the problems of education? Do you want to solve civil rights issues? I mean, this is endless. Those, if you watch Tarek's talk, he pulled out the 17, the SB or SG, I forget what they're called, but those initiatives, the 17 ones of the United Nations. So by building this in the way that we have, we're creating a system that can solve. We're enabling it so that any problem it's a tractable thing, and that we have all the talent and all the skills, all the people necessary to solve this. And guys, these are problems that governments and corporations either can't or won't solve. There's things, I won't go into why that's the case, but we have all the talent. We have everything we need. The answer is not to be defeatist about these issues and to wait for someone else to take care of them. Like, we as citizens and talented people have everything we need. And so I believe it's truly just a matter, if we can make it easy enough and convenient enough and give people a way to plug in and give back. I think, if you're on this call, it clearly shows that you have an interest in this stuff. And so it's really just a matter, like Tarek said, of figuring out like how you can contribute. I don't think it's a lack of desire to contribute. I think it's a lack of a clear, obvious path. And so that's what I've been working to solve. So the heroes in this story here, there's a number of people involved, but there's folks on the front lines who have dedicated their lives, people who you'll meet, 3 of them in this presentation. But these are folks who have committed their lives to working on the front lines to tackle some of these societal problems at a local level. And they're not making a ton of money. In some cases, they're not making any money, but they've prioritized impact, and they're doing the best they can with limited resources to tackle these problems. But they're not digital marketers. They don't know social media. They don't know video editing and some of these things that the people on this call know how to do. They know how to attack the cause and how to make progress there. But what they need is a second layer of heroes. And I'm sure you can guess who that is. That's you guys, right? It's the marketers, it's the developers, the designers, videographers, copywriters, UX, UI people, mobile application developers, SEO experts, you name it. There's just a number of skills out there. And I believe that everyone is the culmination of, a very unique upbringing and experiences and training that gives you and you alone the only person in the world who has your exact skill set. And so it's a matter of finding how to plug you in the way that supports a cause that most closely aligns with your values. And in doing that in a way that minimizes the time commitment and maximizes your impact. And it makes it very transparent as to what that impact is. And in terms of where we fit in this equation, we're just this, we're the school bus, or we're the tugboat, however you want to think of us. We're the platform that is the conduit that connects you guys to those causes. And it does it in a way that's going to be productive, in a way that preserves the work that you do, so that it can, people that follow you can take that torch and move the ball forward after you leave. So this is what we built, and in working together, this stack with us on the bottom as the platform, with you guys as that second tier layer of heroes, and then those people on the front lines, working all 3 of us together. This is how we take apathy and mediocrity and stamp it out of existence. Okay, so let's drill into. I want you to meet some of the people, some of these heroes on the front lines. There's 3 of them I want you to meet. This is Kim. Kim's here in Bali. She came here from New Zealand 5 years ago and realized that there was a problem of what's called generational begging. It would be mothers with their kids on the streets begging. And as you might imagine, when that happens, that's a cycle that perpetuates. Like, those kids grow up knowing begging as the way to earn an income. And so then they become the mothers of next generation, and their kids fall into the exact same trap. And so she saw this happening. She started this operation on the back of her motorcycle, and it's really genius. What she did was, with the goal of stopping and breaking this cycle, as well as sex trafficking, she helped train the mothers of these children on how to make arts and crafts that could be sold to tourists and generate an income and basically give them some self-sustainability where they don't have to beg anymore for an income. She's completely self-funded, had no website. We met her literally the day before we held our Bali event. And this is one of those cases where it was just fate, or whatever you want to call it. We had already lined up all the charities that we were going to work with at that event. We met her at the 11th hour, at the last possible moment. And once we learned what she was doing, we couldn't turn her away. So we found a way to make it work. Usually we have a lot more prep. Ironically, it worked out. They are now the best case study in terms of a result. And I'm going to wait to tell you what that result is until the end. But this has been the most successful project that we've done. And this is the website that we created for them. Complete with donations and everything. Our team was able to put this together basically in one event. So this is Maju Pilcel. She is the force of nature behind the Proyecto Carajá Monkey Sanctuary. This is a sanctuary outside of Cordoba, Argentina, about an hour outside of town. And I had the good fortune to tour that in 2017. And we've worked with them since then. They are home to 200 animals, and most of these are orphaned howler monkeys. And this is basically from the black market pet trade. What happens is you get poachers who kill the mother, steal the babies, drug them up, and sell them as pets. And unsuspecting tourists see a cute little monkey, they buy it thinking that it's a cute pet, but the monkey is sedated. And so they get home, the drugs wear off, the monkey understandably goes crazy because its mother has been killed. And you put yourself in the shoes of that monkey, and that's like, what a disorienting experience that must be. So the pet owner then throws the monkey away, basically. And so this sanctuary takes those monkeys in and rehabilitates them, and then eventually repatriates them back into the wild. This has been their family operation for the last 25 years. So it basically, as long as Maju has been alive, this is what she's known. And unfortunately, COVID came along and nearly wiped these guys out because their sole source of revenue is the visitation of the sanctuary. And their sole source of labor is the volunteer labor at the sanctuary. And both of those got cut off. They had to close the sanctuary because the monkeys are primates and susceptible to COVID. So that risk was too great. And basically they cut off their only income stream as well as their only stream of free labor. And so what we did is we had built them a crowdfunding site as well as a website and a professional video, an accounting system, a CRM system. We had built them all this stuff. But we scrambled into action. We mobilized, made a fundraising campaign, and was able to raise just enough money to keep them alive during this critical period where they would have otherwise had to close. And they now have an in-house IT person, and Maju is running the fundraising efforts using the site that we built. And it looks like they're going to make it through and be just fine. And this is that website. And just one more case study here. This is Julia Fossi. She is one of the co-founders of Esperanza Barcelona. We met her at our Barcelona event and ended up working with them. And what this is, it's an operation that feeds the homeless in Barcelona. And Julie and Julia, the two founders of this, have gone out for the last 6 years every weekend. They've never missed a run. They have 5,000 people on their Facebook group. They organize this using a Google Sheet where about 15 volunteers go out with hand trucks and they deliver food 2 nights on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, to the homeless in Barcelona. And they have 2 routes right now where they deliver this all over town. So we saw how they were doing this. Unfortunately, there's a ton of admin work involved in this. And they're super dedicated. They made it work. But it's when you see how it works with this Google Sheet, we just thought immediately, gosh, we can do something better than this. So we built them a website. We also built them a mobile application that we're in process of deploying. If there's enough time at the end, I can take you through how that works. But basically, this is the website. It tells their story now. It's got a professional video. So they're signing up volunteers at a very fast pace. And this is the mobile app that we created for them. And this now, instead of using the Google Sheet, we basically wanted to invert that and push that control self-serve into the hands of the volunteers so that they're not basically chasing people down to get on these runs every weekend, and that they can actually, that they fill up on their own, and that they're now actually turning people away to volunteer. So there's just some of the examples of the projects that we've worked on. And your question at this point might be, how have we been able to do this? Like, what is the secret sauce here? How have you been able to mobilize people all over the world? Our last event had people spanning 17 time zones. Like, how did that happen? And to me, the answer is just like, we've had the good fortune of having amazing people volunteer. I mean, this entire operation doesn't work without the volunteers. So we actually worked directly with Tarek on the last event. Nomads Giving Back helped bring a lot of the amazing people that worked at the Bali event. And so there's some cooperation now amongst organizations like Nomads Giving Back and ourselves. But we had 30 people at the Bali event. It's just the generosity of people giving up a Saturday of their time to be able to make this work. But I think there's another component, and I'm going to zoom in because I put it. If you saw in the video and you see in this photo, the T-shirts that we have, every T-shirt we've ever done has this quote on it, and it's one of my favorite quotes. It's by my hero Tim O'Reilly. It says, "Pursue something so important that even if you fail, the world is better off with you having tried." And to me, that's like the mantra of Charity Makeover, because when you cast things, and by the way, this is where I'm going to say this is the first real key takeaway, but how you frame things is everything, right? So I think for whatever reason in startup culture and just in how people speak, they tend to think of success and failure as a binary thing, whereas it's a continuum. And truly the only way to fail at anything is to fail to get started and to never try. Like, that is the only failure scenario, because any progress you make against the goal is a success. And it's just a degree of how successful are you going to be. So hopefully this is, it's a simple concept, but yet if you kind of meditate on it, it's actually mind blowing, because you can reframe everything you do in terms of not binary fail success, but really it's just, if you've even made any steps towards pursuing what it is you're trying to do, it's not a failure. Like, it's just a question of to what degree are you going to succeed. And so, and that is a key lesson in all the things that I've attempted. I've done 5 startups. I've worked at big companies and little companies, and I've done a number of things. And this is truly the game changer, is realizing that the only way to fail is to never start. Okay, so with that in mind, I would ask you, what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? This is kind of I've heard this question before, but with that notion of reframing, I encourage you to kind of stew on that. When you leave here, just really think about, what would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? Because you can't. If you practice the reframing concept, you can't. As long as you take steps towards achieving some fraction of what you envision, then it's not failure. Okay, so here's another one. I'm going to try to play this one. This is a YouTube video, and I don't think I can play it from the PowerPoint, so I'm going to try to play it here real quick. This is just a quick clip from our Barcelona admin. And let's see if this works. Is there YouTube? Yeah, there it is. And you may need to adjust your volume. Oops, is it? Here we go.
Productive.
A lot of us work on projects that, I don't want to say capitalist projects, but projects where you're selling something, or you're making something, you're making sales, if that's in marketing or that's in tech, and it is nice to have that feeling of giving back and doing something for the community, especially community that I've lived in for so long.
Well, even like...
Okay, so why I played this for you is we get a lot of different reasons from the people that come to our events explaining why they do it. I always ask this question because I'm very curious as to what drives people. Like, what drove you to be on this call right now, right? If you look at Kat's body language, I'll just play it because it's a short clip. I'm going to play it one more time and watch her body language as she describes the reason, and read between the lines here as to what she's saying. Basically, she's saying, I'm in a capitalist job, but I don't even feel comfortable contesting the fact, because it's not like communism is a better option, but it's like, so she's almost like, I should be happy that I have this capitalist job that pays me, and yet I'm not entirely fulfilled. And she feels like guilty. She's like kind of knotted and tense, even admitting that. And so I think this is a common thing. I don't think this is unique. See if I can do it one more time so you can hear. Oh.
Something you're making sales, if that's in marketing or that's in tech, and it is nice to have that feeling of giving back and doing something for the community, especially community that I've lived in for so long.
Well, even
so yes, it's just that sense of relief. It's like she's tense and knotted and like and then it's like, yeah, just like that feeling of giving back, like the relief. You can see physically, body language as she's expressing that. I think that says a lot. So anyways, other reasons we get for other reasons, so capitalist projects, like she said, feeling of giving back, do something for the community I've lived in for so long, being around other like-minded people, leveling up my skills, and to be part of something bigger. So these are all the reasons we hear of folks, like why they want to be involved in this. And Gonzalo asked me, like, why are you guys even doing this? Like, what is the why here? Hopefully that vision that I painted in the beginning in terms of like attacking those two culprits, like that's the grand vision. But like these are the reasons in terms of the people, what draws people to us and why they want to contribute and give their skills towards something that's bigger than they are. It's all this. And there's a great TED Talk. This is a second takeaway for you guys. Dan Pink is a guy who's done a bunch of research on motivation. And he has a TED Talk that's called The Puzzle of Motivation, where he goes through, and these three things are really the three linchpins there: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And if to the degree that you can infuse those in everything in someone's job, that gives them like the premise is that past a certain amount of money, like earning another 50,000 or whatever beyond a certain point isn't going to make you happier. Like once people have enough money to live and they're safe and secure and adequately met, adding more money isn't the thing that's going to make them happier. It's these three things. It's injecting autonomy, mastery, and purpose into the work. And so those, like, I saw that talk many years ago, and it's been very fundamental into how I think about what we do. And I've tried to infuse this stuff as much as possible and recognize that this is what makes people happy and fulfilled. Okay, so we talked about the why. In terms of the how we do what we do, these are some photos from our Lisbon event. Gonzalo, you'll probably recognize this is what was previously known as WIP Lisboa, now Collective House. But our events look a lot like Startup Weekend. From the video that you saw in the beginning, that was kind of the inspiration for the original version of this. We've since converted to a virtual model, obviously to roll with the punches with COVID. But in terms of how we operate, we have kind of our process that we figured out that works well. And so this is that stack, the tech stack and the process. Basically, we do, the first part of this is, the website, obviously we use for recruiting. People come in and sign up. And then I built an application using this tool called Adalo, which is a no-code system. And using this, we're able to then screen people and match them up and get them to go through a little pre-event checklist. And then start to do team formation. And we give some tools to the project leaders so they can basically pick the people they need once they know what they're trying to build for the charity. So that is the system that is kind of like the nerve center and the brain of our whole operation. It's built in Adalo. That is also the tool that you saw us for the Esperanza application. Communication-wise, we use tools that likely everyone here is familiar with. It's Zoom, Slack, and Loom for screen shares. And we do basically any kind of remote meeting. Given that we're all virtual now, these are pivotal tools. We couldn't operate without them. For the project management, so a key thing about our events is that we want to preserve all the work. We want to make it so that this lives on, and that when we do a project, it doesn't just go away after the event. The Proyecto Carajá is one that we've worked with for over 3 years now. And there's a lineage there. We can dig into this after if people want to see, but basically that Trello board started 3 years ago and it's been passed, like that torch has been passed team to team ever since then. And so it's important that everything we do is done in a way that ensures security and that the work can live on and be passed to future teams. So we use Google Drive for assets. Passport is our team secure password sharing system that we use. And then we have a slew of donated tools. So my former employer, Pagely, it donates free hosting to all the sites that we build in WordPress. We also have donated licenses from GiveWP, which is a donation platform. Ignition Deck is a crowdfunding platform. ActiveCampaign CRM. Reply App, which is a cold email outreach system. WPML for translation, and Deploy Bot for source control continuous deployment with GitHub. So this is a bunch of tech tools, and I'm happy. I don't know, depending on how much time we have afterwards or people's interest, I'm happy to drill into any of this. But this is just the stack that we've arrived at in terms of what works for us. I would say that a key lesson here for anyone listening who's not familiar with the term no code, if you are an entrepreneur at this point, I feel like the one skill, if you want to acquire something that's going to like truly change the game for you, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're, you know, a charity or anyone who has a mission, no code is really powerful. I highly encourage you to Google this term. No code is the larger movement. Adalo was the particular tool that I used. There's a number of tools out there, but basically what this is it's a visual form of programming where you don't, like it says, you don't have to know how to code anymore. You can just drag and drop and build applications entirely with visual tools. And I think this is going to be a game changer. I know it is, because as an entrepreneur, you no longer have to be bottlenecked and dependent on trying to find a developer to build whatever that vision is in your head. You can get to your MVP now entirely self-serve and in contact with your customers the whole time, and be very agile in how you iterate and adapt the application. And it's just, it takes a lot of that friction out of there. So this is going to be a game changer for the people that are able to invest the time and learn no code tools. I think you're just going to put yourself at such an advantage. So I strongly encourage you investigating that. Okay. And then just to show you an idea, so we are loosely targeting July 25th for our next event. So I figured I'd show you how this works. There is a chance, just disclaimer, don't hold me to that date because I am actually in the process of completely rolling out a new version of our platform that may push that. But we are plotting our next event at this point. So let's just go through what that looks like timing-wise and process-wise. So if the event's on the 25th, videos are already up. You can actually go to charitymakeover.org now and see a full dossier with each of the charities. You can see past work. You can look at each one of their public Trello boards, and you can see video interviews with the charity founder describing their challenges, what they're facing, and then the solutions that we propose to build for each of them, which are always different. So those are up now. You can go in. Anyone can sign up. I've actually made it super easy at the end of this. If you're interested, there's a single landing page that makes it super easy. And when you sign up, you get access to Slack. You can go in, you can see what's been discussed, you can kind of figure out where you belong, read about the charities, and basically start to form teams. And then the Monday before the events, we typically do a meet and greet call. There's a bit of a ramp up that week as we slot everyone into the team that they're going to be on, and we start to assign the tasks in Trello, so we all know what we're working on. And then we have a little convocation on the night before the event, where we used to do these in person, now we do them on Zoom. But we'll do this little convocation where it's really about setting the right intention, making sure everyone knows where they're going to be so that there's just no blockers on the day of the event. And then the event itself is all about execution. People just, it's basically one day and one day to build. And we really try to time box this. I think this is part of the secret sauce here, is that, you know, these events are attractive because anyone can spare a Saturday. If you look at it like in a quarter, or, you know, half a year or a quarter of the year, you can carve out a Saturday, and it's not that huge of a commitment. But we really try to keep it not an ongoing, like weekly type thing. Really make it possible for people to just plug in, give back, and then move on. And then there's a ramp down usually, and, you know, loose ends get tied up. We document things, and then by midweek, you know, these events have a very short half-life. People, you know, life takes over again. We all have commitments, and so we really try to get it wrapped up and hand it over to the charity, whatever we develop for them. And we can talk about any part of that if you like. I don't know if this clip's going to work. I was hoping, so this is actually locally on my computer. It'll be available if you guys want to watch it, but this is Kim. I wanted you guys to meet Kim, and this is in her words, with some of the people from the team talking about like how pivotal it was. I'll just skip it because I don't think the audio is going to play through there. But you can read this email, and this is the key thing. And you don't have to read the whole thing. I've highlighted the important line. Within a month of us deploying their site, they've already raised 100 million rupiah via the website, which after the monetary conversion, that's $7,000 USD in a single month. And what's even more important about this is, unlike a single fundraising, you know, everything we do, the ethos of Charity Makeover is about teaching these organizations to fish, right? We don't want to give them the fish. We want to set them up with the infrastructure that's going to, you know, make it so they can be sustainable long term. So they're well on their way now. I mean, it's not a huge sum of money. It's not Tarek's $68,000 from his marathon. But in terms of lifetime value, you know, that's actually a fairly large sum of money in Bali, and it's a fountain of ongoing donations and ongoing cash that they can use to build the safe house, to do the good work that they're doing. And so on this, I just want to give you two takeaways here. These are two books. If I could give myself two books and go back and just read any books, you know, like at the start of my career, these are the two that I would have recommended myself. So the one thing is really the type of thinking that we used in this case to get it done. And it's the idea that Gary Keller is the guy behind Keller Williams Real Estate, arguably one of the most successful real estate people in the world. And one thing is the methodology that he uses to prioritize what he works on. And it's just a single question that you ask. And you say, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it makes everything else either easier or irrelevant? And when you employ that thinking, it sounds so simple, but you really have to just really like internalize that type of thinking. And you can do it fractally, and you can begin to ask that question recursively all the way back out to where you are today. And it will inform you. Literally, you'll know exactly what you should be working on. So it's a super powerful, simple yet powerful concept. Highly recommend it. The other thing is super thinking. This is a book I read last year that's been transformative. It's a book by the guy who started the DuckDuckGo search engine. And what it is the catalog of 300 mental models that that he put into a narrative format and made very easy to digest. And I actually do Anki spaced repetition cards. I do 10 of these every morning just to embed them because they're so powerful. And it's basically like little Lego blocks of thinking and design patterns of thought that you can use to make sense of novel situations. And so these two, I can't speak highly enough of them. If you're looking for stuff to read, put these on your list. And so, yeah. So again, you guys, to recap, I know we're just about out of time. So the enemies here are apathy and mediocrity. We're seeking to flip those on their head and turn them into caring and self-actualization. And the way we do that is with those people like Kim and Julia and Maju on the front lines, you know, just battling in the firefight, making their causes go forward. And then we support them. And by we, I mean you guys. You're the knowledge workers who actually have all the skills to make this happen. And we as Charity Makeover are there to support you guys and bind all this together. And working together, we can eradicate mediocrity and apathy and replace it with what I believe is the highest form of human achievement, in working together and all expressing our natural talents towards the solution of societal ills. I can't really think of anything more important to do in this lifetime than that. So that's what we're doing. We would love to have you guys involved. I have put together this landing page. I'm not sure where this will be available. I guess it goes out in the email. But if you don't find it, it's just charitymakeover.org/FOW. And it's a single spot. You can opt into any of these resources. It'll put you on the volunteer list. I have a Grid 7 is another thing that I run with insights on the no code stuff. As Gonzalo mentioned, I also run the Nomad Prep Academy. So I help people transition to the nomadic lifestyle. And I think we've got a discount for you guys with that. And I also do a biannual life update. So, you know, one spot, you can opt into whatever you want of that stuff. And it's super simple. So yeah, so that's my talk. Let me know what questions we want to go to.
And this was amazing. I'm so stoked for your work. It's insane. I had no idea about half of the stuff you were doing. I knew about Charity Makeover, but it's just so cool the impact you can have with one day and putting people working together. Yeah, it's mind-blowing. So I'm super inspired by you, and I hope you come to Portugal soon. So we need to talk and expand this.
Yeah, man, I want to sleep on your couch when I get there because I don't have a spot yet.
You have 1 month. Not trying to scare you, but I'm leaving in the end of July to the north of Spain. And
Okay.
if you want to meet me in the north of Spain, that's also okay. I'm going to send a co-living space afterwards.
Cool.
They are super cool. You would like to be there, so let me know if you want to go there as well. So,
Yeah.
questions. So you got okay. This is Solange from our project. She wants to belong to you as well. She wants to help you out with this project. She's an illustrator, so maybe she can help in some of the illustrations on the website. So that she was saying, "I want to help. This is so cool." She's
Absolutely.
still here. She's still here saying, "This is amazing. Better together." She's so cute. So. João asks, is Character Makeover a self-financed company, or do you run it all free to everyone as your passion project?
Yeah, so I just actually quit a job of 5 years. I was the director of sales for a company called Pagely, and it was like a job that I was good at, and I love the company, and I made really good money. But I just decided to go all in on this. We are not profitable at this point. It's being run under an LLC that I have right now. I may at some point turn it into a nonprofit, but frankly, I'm more interested in sorting out, like, to me, choice of entity is subsidiary to making it work first. And so I wanted to focus first on actually just creating impact and making sure that we can have some massive results, which we have been able to do. And so, yeah, so now the next challenge is how do we make this sustainable and put a revenue model around it? I would love your thoughts. Like I can tell you that where I'm headed, like I mentioned in the talk, I'm working on the next version of the platform. What that's going to be is basically turning it into project centric versus event centric, and people will be able to back their
Jump
friends.
in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if let's say Gonzalo comes on and he donates a Saturday and he's working on it, then, it'll have a spot for 5 of his friends to back them with like $10 each. And then the charity, we give them the tools to go to their network to then match that. And then together that becomes a project value. And I think people understand that. They will respect that there is overhead. Like, I haven't made any money. I've funded this entirely out of my own pocket thus far. So at some point it's got to be sustainable, but that's our current proposed revenue model.
This is so cool, man. I love it. And Sandra, Ligia wants to know, when are you coming back to Portugal? When you're coming back to Lisbon? I'm not sure if you know Ligia, but
Ligia from Whip?
I don't know, but she asks, when are you coming back to Lisbon?
Soon. Hi, Ligia. As soon as flights permit. Like, unfortunately, there is no way to fly directly to Lisbon right now. And our buddy Pita, who just tried yesterday, they canceled the Qatar flight. Yeah.
A friend of mine did it, but he had to spend like almost 2 days. He did it through Jakarta. So he went to Jakarta, Netherlands, London, Portugal, which was insane. Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure I can go to Barcelona and get there that way, whether I fly from Barcelona or even if worst case I can take a train. So, but yeah, I'm intending to come back soon, hopefully like 2 weeks.
And are you organizing this event in Lisbon?
It's going to be all virtual. Yeah, so that's something we didn't talk about. So the pendulum swung, right? We did these physical events first. Ligia was actually at one of them, so that's awesome.
Okay.
And the pendulum swung. We went entirely virtually with the COVID stuff, and we're now coming back center somewhere in between there, where I'm setting it up so that people can work in pods. So it'll respect the social distancing stuff. We won't have these massive events anymore. But people really do. What we learned on our last virtual event is that it worked. We can make it work, but it definitely lacks that magic of being in person. And yeah, so and I think this will be the perfect compromise where we get some of that in person, but it's only 2 or 3 people working in a co-work space.
Nice, cool. And I'm sure there's a lot of co-working spaces right now who would love to be a part of this. So if you need connections with co-working spaces, I know at least half of the 80 that's around Lisbon right now.
Perfect.
What's on for the future? What are you planning? Are you planning to go global, like Nomads Giving Back, and have like small communities doing this, like in Medellin? Are you planning to go all in the online version? What do you have in mind for the whole expansion of the project?
Yeah, so I had written, I wrote the back end in such a way where it allows anyone, like right now you could sign up and host an event. I wanted to make this almost like Wikipedia, in that anyone can extend it and become an admin for their city. Unfortunately, when it moved to the virtual model, now we have to kind of rejigger things. And so where my head at is in terms of the future is in this move back to the pod idea, I believe that the co-working spaces, like you said, Gonzalo, I think those are going to be critical channels for us. And so enabling co-work spaces to kind of have these pods and host them, to me, that's where I see this going.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure most of the co-working spaces in Lisbon are already adapted. They built the acrylics. I don't know if that's in English. They built a thing that you are separated from people, even though if you are in front of them, you are separated with at least with the breath and with everything. And with people, what kind of people are useful for you? Is it what skills do you need, and what skills are good to have when people want to join you to these amazing weekends?
Yeah. So when you sign up, like we can literally use anyone. And people sometimes say, well, I don't know how to do anything. Like I don't have a specialty. We had an 18-year-old at our last event. And so data entry is a valid skill. There's always work that needs to be done. But I don't know. The things that are most in demand, I would say, are designers, UX, developers. It really depends on what we're building. So we take everyone, and then the system that I have right now allows us to triage. You'll see you come in and there's a little gauntlet of questions you go through. It extracts the skills that you have, and then using that, we can basically show you what charities need the skills that you have, and then that allows you to kind of browse and figure out who you want to help, and then we pair you up with the PM.
That's so cool. So you have here at least 3 people that want to join. I see João falling in love with this. You have myself, your new PR person in Portugal. And you have Solange, your new illustrator, and she's amazing. She does amazing illustrations. And there is someone else who also wants to join. Monica also says something about that. Man, you are making a record. And I love this. I love every single thing about this, trust me. That's why we are having this day. This day is just about sharing the people like you who are making a ruckus in the world. It may not be the day with the most views, specifically because it's Saturday, it's Independence Day, you left the party just to speak here, but you have great plans, and we were just talking about this. We will share probably, if you wish, these talks and make it even bigger with our email list. We had almost 3,000 people joining us in the whole event, so we want to spread this word across everyone without charging anything. And we're maybe even using Safety Wing and all the other networks that we got to make it even bigger for you guys. So I just want to thank you all. I'm not sure if someone else has any question. If you want to share something, do you guys have any other question? Or maybe I miss. Oh, there is Sandra asks if you use testers or developers to test your work.
Yeah, so QA is one of the skills, and that would be what I would argue is, you don't have to be super knowledgeable about something to just go and beat up on it and break it. That, we just want people where we can use. In summary, we can use, if there's a good chance we can use you regardless of what your skill set is.
Nah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I think I do marketing. Katarina's on sales, so if you need a sales funnel, we can do a sales funnel. She's the queen of LinkedIn. She's just getting shy right now. So This is really cool. Sean, this is amazing. Guys, I will share again the link for the charity makeover /FOW, Future of Work, because this project is outstanding. And you can see now, Sean, man, I'll let you go back to the party if you are still on time. Tarek is waiting for you. He says hi on the other side. Thank you so much for your time. And even more important, thank you so much for building Charity Makeover. I think it's a wonderful project with everything else that you are building. I think this will be the work of your lifetime, to be honest. And I think you will make a huge ruckus in the world with Charity Makeover. So I'm honestly excited about this. So congratulations on everything, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Cheers.
See you soon in Ericeira.
Right.
If not in Lisbon, but Ericeira is much better, I can tell you that. Bye, man. Enjoy your evening.